of professional sports, everything revolves around winning, breaking records, and proving yourself as the best. But every now and then, an athlete comes along who impresses not just for their on-field achievements, but also for their choice to pursue something greater outside of sports. Maya Moore, a legend in the WNBA, did exactly that. She didn't just step away from the game at the peak of her career, she did it to achieve something far more important than basketball titles and MVP awards: justice for a man wrongfully imprisoned. This is the story of Maya Moore, one of the greatest basketball talents ever, who sacrificed her career to save a man's life. Before we dive into Moore's impact outside of basketball, let's first look at what made her such an iconic player. Maya Moore was born in 1989 in Jefferson City, Missouri, and from a young age, it was clear that she was an exceptional talent. She led her high school team to multiple championships, and when she continued her career at the University of Connecticut, UConn, her talent became undeniable. At UConn, Moore quickly became a star. The team, led by coach Gino Auriemma, was unmatched, and with Moore on their side, they won 2 NCAA championships in 2009 and 2010. Her impressive play earned her the Naismith College Player of the Year title, not once, but twice. Additionally, UConn, with Moore at the helm, became famous for their 90 consecutive wins, a record that forever changed college basketball. Her accomplishments at the collegiate level cemented her as one of the most dominant players in the history of American basketball. With such impressive achievements, it was no surprise that the Minnesota Lynx selected her as the first overall pick in the 2011 WNBA draft. In her first season in the WNBA, Moore immediately won the Rookie of the Year award. But even more impressive was that she also led her team to a WNBA championship in that same year. This was just the beginning of a dominant stretch in her career. Maya Moore would go on to win 4 WNBA titles with the Lynx, be selected 6 times as an All-Star, and win the WNBA Finals MVP award twice. In 2014, she was even named WNBA MVP, firmly establishing herself as one of the most dominant players of her generation. But even though she dominated basketball and earned worldwide respect for her talent, Maya Moore always had a greater purpose in mind. Basketball was important, but there was something else that demanded her attention. In 2019, Maya Moore shocked the sports world with an unexpected announcement. She would be taking a break from the WNBA, not due to injuries or personal issues, but because she wanted to dedicate her time to helping free a man named Jonathan Irons. This was a nearly unheard of move in professional sports, where athletes often push themselves to extend their careers and accumulate as many titles and records as possible. But for Moore, the mission of bringing justice was far more important than any award. Jonathan Irons, a man she had met through her family's volunteer work, was serving a 50-year prison sentence at the time. He had been convicted at the age of 16 for a violent burglary and shooting in 1997. However, the case was riddled with contradictions and errors. There was no physical evidence placing Irons at the scene, and the case against him was built on questionable testimony and negligent police work. Moore became deeply involved in the case and, along with Irons' legal team, believed he had been wrongfully convicted. What made this case even more heartbreaking was that Jonathan Irons had spent nearly his entire adult life behind bars for a crime he maintained he did not commit. While Moore continued to shine on the basketball court, the injustice of his case was something she couldn't ignore. It became clear to her that she had to use her platform to advocate not only for him, but for others in similar situations. It wasn't the first time Moore had spoken out on social issues. She had previously used her platform as an athlete to raise awareness about racial inequality and the criminal justice system in the U.S. She had been a strong advocate for reforms within the criminal justice system, and her voice grew even louder as the Black Lives Matter movement gained momentum. But now, she took an unprecedented step. She decided to temporarily put her career on hold to fully focus on freeing Jonathan Irons. Moore's decision was courageous, but it came with significant risks. At that moment, she was at the absolute peak of her career. She had achieved everything a WNBA player could aspire to: championships, MVP awards, All-Star nominations. Yet she chose to sacrifice her basketball career, not knowing if she would ever return to the sport. This wasn't just a sabbatical, it was a complete shift in her priorities. What many didn't understand was that Moore wasn't simply turning her back on basketball. For her, it was about using her position and influence to serve a greater good. Moore recognized that her platform as a world-renowned athlete gave her the ability to shine a light on a case that might otherwise go unnoticed. Her decision to take a break from basketball, a sport in which she had reached the pinnacle, was an act of pure dedication to her convictions and belief in justice. While many athletes use their fame and status to advance their careers, Moore chose to leverage that same fame to tackle a profound social issue. She spent her days in courtrooms, meeting with lawyers, activists, and working closely with human rights organizations. This was far from the glamorous life of a professional athlete, but for Moore, it was an essential path she needed to walk to make a difference. In the eyes of many, her choice was unprecedented. Maya Moore, one of the biggest stars in the sport, chose to leave the court to take on a legal battle that would last far longer than a basketball season. But for Moore, it was simple. She acted according to her convictions and believed that this fight was far more important than any personal glory she could still achieve on the basketball court. If you appreciate these kinds of inspiring stories and want to learn more about extraordinary athletes and their impact on the world, consider subscribing to my channel. I'm aiming for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and with your help, I can reach that goal. Click the subscribe button and don't miss any of my future videos. After years of hard work and legal battles, the long-awaited moment of justice finally came in July 2020. A judge ruled that Jonathan Irons had been wrongfully convicted and overturned his sentence. He was finally released after spending more than 20 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit. It was an incredible victory, not just for Irons, but also for Moore and her team of activists and lawyers who had fought so hard for his release. Irons' release was an emotional moment. He publicly thanked Moore for her dedication and perseverance in bringing his case to justice. For Moore, this was the ultimate championship. The release of Jonathan Irons was not just a legal victory, but a testament to how determination and resilience can make a difference in someone else's life. While many people might have thought that winning a basketball title was the pinnacle of Moore's career, her true triumph turned out to be something much greater. Shortly after his release, Moore and Irons also announced that they were engaged and would eventually marry. This unexpected twist added another layer of emotion and meaning to an already extraordinary story. What began as a fight for justice ended with a personal bond that would change their lives forever. Although Maya Moore has yet to return to the WNBA, her impact is greater than ever. Her influence now extends far beyond the basketball courts she once dominated. She has shown that true greatness is not only measured in victories or records, but also in the choices you make to improve the world around you. She used her platform as a top athlete to address a life or death issue, and in doing so, saved a man's life. Off the court, she continues her activism through her organization Win with Justice, which focuses on reforms within the U.S. justice system. Moore remains committed to fighting for the rights of others who have been wrongfully convicted and continues to push for reform within the criminal justice system. Moore will always be remembered as one of the greatest basketball talents in the history of the sport. Her achievements on the court were impressive, but her decisions off the court have elevated her to a level that few athletes reach. She not only made history with her performances in the WNBA, but she also showed that sports can be more than just competition. It can be a force for change, a means of bringing justice, and a way of giving hope to those who need it most. Maya Moore's story goes beyond the statistics. It's about courage, justice, and using your voice, even if it means putting aside your greatest passion. And that is why Maya Moore is not only a sports legend, but also an inspiration to everyone who believes in the power of justice. What do you think? Will Maya Moore ever return to the WNBA, or has she found a new path to follow? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this.